The heart of summer. The heat of July settled over the quiet coastal town of Fairhaven, where wildflowers swayed in the salty breeze and memories lingered like the tide. Sophie Lancaster had not set foot here in 5 years. But now, with hesitant steps, she returned to the place where she had spent every summer of her youth. The place where she had loved and lost. Ethan Carter. Fairhaven had been their world, filled with sunlit days and whispered promises. But when life pulled Sophie away to the city, she had left Ethan behind. Promises to return had faded, swallowed by time, and when she finally looked back, too many summers had passed. Now, she stood before the little bookshop by the shore, the very place where their story had begun. Taking a steadying breath, she pushed open the door. The scent of old paper and fresh coffee wrapped around her like a familiar embrace. And there he was. Ethan stood behind the counter, his dark hair tousled, his skin kissed by the sun. His green eyes, once filled with dreams of forever, locked onto hers with unreadable intensity. Sophie. His voice was steady, but the weight of unspoken years lay between them. Hey, Ethan. She forced a smile. It's been a while. His jaw tightened. Yeah, it has. The silence stretched, thick with things unsaid. Sophie trailed her fingers along the shelves, her heart pounding. The shop looks the same, she murmured. Ethan exhaled a quiet laugh. Some things don't change. But they had. She had. He had. Sophie had spent years convincing herself that leaving had been the right choice, that the ache in her heart would fade. But standing here now, in the place where love had once bloomed, she wasn't so sure. I wanted to see you, she admitted, voice soft. Ethan's gaze darkened. Why now, Sophie? Why now? Why after all this time? She could have told him how the city never felt like home, how every ocean view reminded her of him, how she had spent too many nights staring at the waves, wondering if he ever thought of her. Instead, she whispered, because I never stopped thinking about you. Ethan's breath hitched, his guard faltering. Sophie? He ran a hand through his hair, stepping closer. You left, I know. Her voice broke, and I regretted it every day. The space between them shrank, the air thick with longing. He reached for her, hesitant, as if afraid she would vanish again. But when their fingers brushed, something long buried surfaced, something that had never truly been lost. I should be angry, he murmured. She nodded. You should. His fingers tightened around hers. But I'm not. A slow smile broke across Sophie's lips, hope flickering in her chest. Outside, the golden sun dipped lower, casting Fairhaven in a warm glow. And for the first time in years, Sophie knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. In the heart of summer. In the heart of him.